Toronto Blue Jays and the Cleveland Indians. Terry Francona in his first game as the Indians manager won last night 4-1. That improves his personal record in this ballpark to 42-39. Here's the starting lineup for the Cleveland Indians. Jason Kipnis is the third hitter in the lineup. And 12 of his 14 home runs in 2012 came against right-handed pitching. And he has a home run against Brandon Morrow. Michael Brantley has absolutely worn out the Blue Jays in this ballpark. 15 for 26 career, 577 average for the left fielder for Cleveland. So Jason Kipnis and Michael Brantley are going to be tough opponents for Brandon Morrow tonight.
21 starts last year for Brandon Morrow. He gets his first one of the season here tonight. Outstanding numbers, just 21 starts though because of the injury. He missed 2.5 months with that oblique injury, and in spring training they brought him along slowly. Made 6 starts in the spring, in total just 19 innings pitched. He had his own type of plan that he wanted to build to this night right here. Kind of like what he did last year when he got off to that outstanding start for the Blue Jays in 2012. Hopefully he can just carry it right in 2013.
Now we'll take a look at the defense behind Brandon Morrow. In the outfield, it's Cabrera, Rasmus, and Bautista. Jose Bautista with 11 outfield assists from right a year ago. Left side of the diamond, it's Sturas and Reyes. Right side, Bonifacio and Encarnacion. And the battery tonight, JP Arancibia will be behind the plate for Brandon Morrow, who makes his first start of the season.
Emilio Bonifacio, I think, silenced some of the critics last night with some great glove work in the game last night in the opener.
Michael Bourne will lead things off for Cleveland. First pitch of the game is outside. Bourne ended up 2 for 5 in the game last night, and when we left we thought he was just 1 for 5. What happened last night is a ball he hit in the 7th inning off Aaron Loop was initially ruled an error, and it wasn't changed until after the ball game. So he's a much better hitter today than he was last night when he went to bed.
400 as opposed to 200 tonight. He's good at leadoff hitter. Exactly what the Indians wanted to get in the offseason. A little bit more speed and a leadoff hitter. You know, they haven't had a legitimate type of leadoff hitter since Grady Sizemore went down a couple of years ago.
Morrow is ahead 1-2. There's that wipeout slider well inside off the plate. Brandon Morrow, we mentioned his record a year ago, 10-7. He is 39-37 for his career. In the month of April, as a starter, he's 6-5-5 in 12 career starts in the month of April. Here's the 2-2, cut on and missed. Bourne strikes out. Number 2 batter in the lineup, Asdrubal Cabrera, went 1 for 4 last night, but that one hit was a big blow.
Yeah, it looked like a fly ball. If you could see the reaction from Cabrera, he didn't think he got it. But it got up and it kept going and ended up going out of the ballpark. And I think that home run right there really deflated the Blue Jays just a little bit. It was a 1-run game at the time. That made it a 3-run game, and Masterson took it home.
270 hitter a year ago. He's late on that fastball at 97. Big heat early from Morrow.
Yeah, you usually don't see that 97 coming around for him until, you know, the middle innings. He's usually trying to just work on that breaking ball, that change up a little bit early. I'd have to say he's fired up tonight. 96 right there.
Everybody that is involved with this ball club is fired up. So many high expectations surrounding the team. Bunted back to the screen. Cabrera is a 2-time All-Star. He has started both the last 2 All-Star games, and he's probably one of the guys that gets overlooked in the American League more than anybody. He's a good player.
Silver Slugger a couple of years ago from shortstop. Switch hitter, got a little power, a little speed.
Another fastball at 98. Cabrera's 27 years old, out of Venezuela. He is just 2 for 10 against Brandon Morrow in his career. But there are a lot of guys like that. One out. Lays off the breaking pitch. Boy, his slider's 90. He's fired up.
Wow, yeah. If you're throwing a breaking ball at 90 miles an hour, got a little extra giddy up tonight. And as a catcher, what do? You ride that 99 miles an hour on that fastball. You ride it for as long as you can.
Boy, he's really refined his delivery, and J.P. Arencibia understands that it's all about tempo and rhythm for Brandon Morrow. Got underneath that pitch and walks Cabrera with one out. So Cabrera's at first base. That'll bring to the plate Jason Kipnis. We mentioned Kipnis has a home run against Morrow. That came last year in Morrow's first game, April 7th in Cleveland. Hit a 2-run home run off Brandon Morrow. Came with 2 outs. It was the first hit allowed by Morrow. Cabrera with a big lead at first. Arencibia is going to take a walk. He's missed in the same spot up and away, and oftentimes a catcher can remind him, hey, just finish through, get through that delivery and get the ball down in the zone.
A lot of times when you reach back for a little something extra, or you're feeling amped up, like it appears that he is tonight, that's what happens. You don't get out there quick enough, and the ball really sails on you. His delivery is such where he's got that little bit of a turn that Pete Walker is going to be watching that release point. I think one thing that could really help him here to help him stay on top and to keep that front shoulder closed a little bit longer is maybe throw a breaking ball. That'll help him stay on top and drive that ball down.
Morrow's behind, 2 balls, no strikes. Gets that one in there through the changeup for a strike.
That's smart. That's really good. When you can recognize that your pitcher doesn't have that feel yet with that fastball, try something different. JP went right to the changeup.
Missing in the same spot. Look where all those pitches are bunched up and away out on the upper portions off the plate, and he's going to have to get through that delivery.
Yep, and they're all fastballs too. Pete was telling me the other day, Pete Walker, the pitching coach, that Brandon gets in trouble with that big turn. He has to stay and keep driving towards home plate. A lot of guys, when they have that type of turn, they don't step in the same spot every single time.
We saw it last night with both starters making their first start. R.A. Dickey and Justin Masters in the first couple of innings. I don't care how long you've played. The first game of the season is always one you've got to fight your emotions and try to get the excitement under control. 3-2. There goes Cabrera. It's fouled out of play. You can play for 20 years, but there's nothing like opening day, and there's nothing like your first start of the season, as Brandon Morrow is experiencing right now.
And you have to fight it. You have to figure out a way to try to slow the ball game down, because your emotions are there. You've got the adrenaline running. There's excitement in the air. You've been down in spring training playing day games all the time in front of 5,000 people. Now there's 50,000.
Cabrera's on the move again. This ball is driven to left. Melky Cabrera running back at the wall, makes the catch. Asdrubal Cabrera was all the way around second. Here's the throw back to first, and he'll slide back in safely. What a play by Melky Cabrera. He banged his elbow up against the fence in left field, but came off throwing and threw it all the way to first base, but could not double up Asdrubal Cabrera.
That's part of his game that kind of gets overlooked because of the bat, but watch, he misjudges it for just a second, then picks it up, slams into the wall, and then uncorks one on one bounce from the left field wall to first base. And if it's on target just a little bit, he's got Cabrera, who rounds second, sees that it's caught, now he has to retrace his steps, and with a slide gets back.
2 outs. Nick Swisher takes one down the stairs. Is that the way Cabrera should have ran the bases right there?
Yeah, if you're a runner at first base and there what appears to be an extra base hit to the outfield, you've got to get out and round second base. If you don't, you're not going to score if the ball falls in.
Nick Swisher, the first baseman. Another ball up and away, and that same area has plagued Brandon Morrow. I tell you what, as a catcher, I used to call a breaking ball after 2 or 3 pitches just to get him back through that delivery like you were mentioning.
And what it'll help you do, it'll help you get your fingers on top of the baseball just a little bit more.
A 1-out walk to Asdrubal Cabrera. He's at first now with 2 down. Morrow and Aaron Sebia trying to get out of this inning. Once again missing in the same spot. Aaron Sebia calling that fastball, and they haven't thrown many breaking balls throughout this inning.
What about a fastball inside? Keep that pitcher right on line and keep that front shoulder closed just a little bit longer.
Nick Swisher, it's the lazy fly ball to left. This should end it, and it does. Brandon Morrow through 24 pitches, but strands a runner. Top of the order for the Jays. Jose Reyes, Melky Cabrera flashing the leather, and Jose Bautista coming up. Has is to iron out things during the course of the game, and that's what Pete Walker's trying to do with Brandon Morrow, just to get him to that first base side of home. Take a look at the Blue Jays lineup. Jose Bautista has hit well against the Indians. 8 home runs and a .300 average, and he's driven in 23. How about Colby Erasmus? Big numbers against Ubaldo Jimenez. He's 7 for 19 with 3 doubles. It's the kind of guy Rasmus needs to see after a rough night last night.
And he loves a fastball, and Ubaldo Jimenez has a fastball. He'd like to wipe out the last 2 seasons, though. It's been brutal for him. 2010, he was 3rd in the National League Cy Young voting, won 19 ball games for Colorado. That was in 33 starts. The last 2 years, he's won 19 games, and it's taken him 64 starts.
Ubaldo misses up and away with the first pitch to Jose Reyes. There's a base hit for Reyes. Strubs over quickly to cut it off, and Reyes has his first hit of the season. We saw last night the defense for the Cleveland Indians is pretty good in the outfield. They have 3 former center fielders manning left, center, and right. Brantley, Bourne, and Drew Stubbs. On the infield, the shortstop Asdrubal Cabrera maybe saved the game for them with that great double play. It's Chisenhall, Cabrera, Kipnis, and Swisher, third base, first base, and the battery is Carlos Santana and Ubaldo Jimenez.
There were 2 plays involving Asdrubal Cabrera. The defensive play you were talking about and the home run.
Bouncing ball, gloved by Swisher. Second for 1, back to first. Not in time. Jimenez missed the bag. That's Barksdale. The first base umpire was all over it. Cabrera hustling down the line keeps the Blue Jays from hitting into that double play.
Tough double play, the 3-6-3 double play. Anytime a first baseman can catch the ball and get back and try not to involve the pitcher, the better, but the ball takes Swisher away from the bag. Jimenez has to get over there, and he can't find the ball and the bag at the same time. And then Cabrera beats it out.
Jose Bautista. First pitch strike. Jose has had a rough go against Ubaldo Jimenez. He's just 1 for 13 against the Indians right-hander. A year ago, he pounded out 27 home runs in just 92 games. 0-2.
Good combination for Jimenez. He's got a good fastball now. He used to throw it in the upper 90s. Right now, he's not worried about the miles per hour. Just location is important with that fastball, and he's got a very good breaking ball.
95 with the heater, but well outside. Bautista fouls it off the glove of Santana. You mentioned Ubaldo Jimenez finished third in the MVP vote, or in the Cy Young voting in 2010. Roy Halladay won it with a 21-10 record. Adam Wainwright was 20-11. Pretty good pitching. Ubaldo Jimenez was 19-8 with a 2.88 ERA.
Magical season. I believe he threw a no-hitter that year for the Colorado Rockies. And remember, he did that pitching half of his games in Colorado, and that is tough to do for a pitcher. The high altitude, the ball carries, and it's tough to throw a breaking ball.
His career record at Coors Field is 30-19 with a 3.67 ERA. Pretty good ERA considering the way the ball flies. That breaking ball's in the dirt, and Santana keeps it in front of him. This is the fourth career start for Jimenez against the Blue Jays. Like a changeup that's bounced in the dirt. Jimenez has had 2 good starts against John Gibbons' Blue Jays and 1 rough one. That came right here at Rogers Center a year ago.
Home run ball was the big damage against Jimenez that afternoon.
Bouncing ball. Kipnis shovels to Cabrera. Back to first, double play. So the double play has been a problem for the Blue Jays. They hit into 2 last night. Jimenez gets out of the first with a double play. Welcome back to Rogers Center. We mentioned these two pitchers, the starters tonight, Brandon Morrow and Ubaldo Jimenez, both hooked up in the second game of the season a year ago. They both went 7 innings. They both allowed just 1 hit and 2 runs. And the runs that Jimenez allowed were earned runs. Brandon Morrow allowed unearned runs.
Jimenez was on fire to start that ball game, wasn't he?
He tied 17 straight to start the ball game. First pitch strike. Morrow gets ahead of Michael Brantley. We told you Brantley is a .577 hitter in this ballpark.
So you say, well, why is he hitting 5th in the lineup for the Cleveland Indians? He should be hitting higher. He hit .308 last year as a number 5 hitter.
Bonifacio can't make a play. Boy, that was right in no man's land. Bouncing behind the mound. Brandon Morrow came off the mound, reached for it, couldn't make a play, and it was a do or die situation for Bonifacio.
And there was a lot of English on the ball. When it hit home plate, it really put a lot of spin on the baseball. Watch it when it goes over the mound and watch it hit the carpet and watch the reaction from Bonifacio. It actually took a right-handed turn on him. And he just can't come up with it.
Well, Brantley has yet another hit here at Rogers Center. Some of them are line drives and some of them are choppers. But he has really hit the ball well here in this ballpark. Catcher Carlos Santana. Morrow still missing on that third base side of home plate.
Time to establish a little bit on the inner half. Just back those hitters off because you know every one of them have been watching and they know that he's working those lefties away.
Ball on the strike. Santana's 3 for 7 against Morrow in his career. He's a switch hitter that bats left-handed against Morrow. Santana's just 26 years old. Broken bat, looper over Bonifacio into right. Brantley had to make sure it dropped safely, and Santana has a broken bat single.
Blue Jays on Sports Day, brought to you by Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice. And by the 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Hands on hand, getting their new Blue Jays memorabilia and clothing for the 2013 season. Trouble brewing for Morrow, first and second. Nobody out. Big swing from Mark Reynolds. Reynolds originally drafted in the 16th round by the Arizona Diamondbacks out of the University of Virginia. He was traded from Arizona to Baltimore for David Hernandez and Cam Nicolao, a couple of pitchers. Hernandez has turned into an important relief pitcher for the Diamondbacks.
Tie him up with that fastball. He's also got a 40 home run season under his belt in the big leagues.
44 home runs with Arizona in 2009. His American League high at 37 in 2011 in Baltimore. 0-2. 3-pitch strikeout. Well, that played right in Morrow's favor. That's the side of the plate that he has worked on all night early in this game.
On the inner half, he's got that one dialed in right there. 3 fastballs on the inner half to Mark Reynolds. He thinks it's inside, but you got to love that. Establish that inside part of the plate. Strikeouts actually last year for Morrow went down from 2011, and there's a reason for that.
Lonnie Chisenhall.
He wanted to establish outs a little bit earlier in the count, so he'd use his changeup just a little bit more early in the count. He'd throw that get-me-over curveball early in the count, trying to get the batters to swing at it and make easy outs. And I agree with that. That'll help your pitch count. It'll help you to get a little bit deeper into the ball games.
Misses on the inside. Ball and strike. Now, I think any starter wants to stay out there as long as possible, and if you do cut down on your pitches, you're going to have a chance to pitch into the 7th and 8th inning.
Strikeouts are great, and big strikeouts in tough situations, like with a couple of runners on, that's when they come in handy. But they also run up that pitch count.
A couple of good pitches to the first base side of home plate from Brandon Morrow this inning. You got to have strikeouts. There are times for them, obviously. Yep. You get second and third, less than 2 outs. You need a punch out. Sergio Santos did that last night, late in the ball game. At second and third in the 8th inning and struck out Reynolds and Chisenhall. 1-2. Runners at first and second. Got it. There's a time for a strikeout, and back-to-back strikeouts after the first 2 reach here in the second.
Brandon's picked a good time to pick up a couple of strikeouts. And you know what? He's done it with his fastball. First with Reynolds, and now with Chisenhall up and away, and he swings right through it. I like the idea that he's trying to jam some of these hitters now with that fastball.
Number 9 hitter Drew Stubbs went 1 for 4 with an RBI in his Indians debut last night. Much better location from Morrow down in the zone.
It's a very uncomfortable feeling for a batter, a right-handed batter, when a guy who throws as hard as Morrow is pitching you inside. It just seems like you're trying to fight that fastball off. You can't cover both sides of the plate.
Boy, that's where you want to pitch if you're Brandon Morrow. Bottom part of the strike zone. That's where you want to pitch if you're anybody.
Yeah, I don't care who you are.
Back-to-back singles to start the inning, then back-to-back strikeouts. 0-2. In the dirt. Good job by Aaron Sebia. Smothered that slider.
Yeah, you can see Brandon Morrow wanted that strikeout. Reached back for a little bit, something extras. Hung onto the ball just too long. Good job by JP to get down there and keep that ball in front of him.
Throw it again.
Yep.
He knows what he has to do. It's fresh in his mind. Come right back with it. 1-2. Got it. Brandon Morrow strikes out to sign after giving up a couple of singles. 4 Ks so far after 2. Dials it up a notch and punches out Drew Stubbs. 2013 baseball season with MLB.TV. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand in HD quality. You can watch up to 4 games at once with multi-game viewing. Season subscriptions start at $109.99. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. If you had MLB.TV last night, you could have seen Yu Darvish flirt with a perfect game. 14 strikeouts against Houston. He took a perfect game to the 9th inning with 2 outs.
Just one more guy just couldn't do it.
14 strikeouts. Wow. Big breaking ball, and Encarnacion checks his swing.
What was that against Houston last night?
Yep.
They didn't fare too much better today, did they?
No, they have had a little bit of a rough start.
They had a bunch of punch outs this afternoon also.
15 strikeouts today, and Encarnacion loses the bat. That's the 3rd time we've seen that already this season. A couple of bats went into the seats last night, and you can see that fan is holding on to that bat for dear life.
I don't think Edwin wants it back either. He went and got his BP bat. As you see, it just slipped right out of his hands. It's cold out. The pine tar's not like it is in the summertime.
This is popped up on the infield. Second baseman Kipnis makes the catch. You mentioned Ubaldo Jimenez. He was acquired from the Colorado Rockies in a trade. Since he's come to Cleveland, he has a 13-21 record with a 5.32 ERA. They'd certainly like to see him recapture the form he had for Colorado.
There are the numbers that you were just talking about. A 366 earned run average in Colorado and a winning record. It just hasn't been that way since he has come to Cleveland. And it's not for not trying. He's tried everything to try and get his mechanics straightened out. You can see he's got a little bit of a hook of the ball behind his back when he comes towards home plate, and that can really throw your mechanics off. He has worked to try and smooth that out and eliminate that part from his pitching.
Adam Lind last night was 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Boy, they had him played perfectly. Asdrubal Cabrera was up the middle. He had a hot shot to Cabrera last night with the game into balance, and that came in the 3rd inning with the bases loaded. That was the last time the Blue Jays would muster any kind of offensive threat.
I asked Adam about that today around the batting cage, and he said if it's spring training, I got 2 doubles because they don't play you that defensively. They don't have all the inner workings that they do defensively. They had Swisher on the line. They took away a hit from him. They had Cabrera up the middle just like that to take away a hit from him.
Breaking ball inside to J.P. Arencibia. Here's what you're talking about, the defensive alignment. Nick Swisher is halfway between first and second.
He has played all the right-handed batters of the Blue Jays in the first 2 games in this series right there. And the percentages say that's where the ball's going to be hit. You can then push the second baseman up the middle. Look at all the room that a right-hander has. As a hitter, you're not going to go up there and say, okay, I'm going to try and hit one between Swisher and the first base bag.
Yeah, let me choke up and try to punch it down the right field line. That's not going to happen. 2-0 to Arencibia. 3-0. JP had a double in his last at bat last night. It came with 2 outs in the 9th inning. And that snapped a streak of 19 straight Blue Jay hitters being retired by Cleveland. And Arencibia will take the 4-pitch walk. So Arencibia gets a walk with 2 outs. Colby Rasmus will be the batter, and we mentioned Rasmus has had some success against Ubaldo Jimenez. He's 7 for 19 against the big right-hander with 3 doubles. Colby had a rough start to his season last night. He was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. He reached in his first at bat, walked in the second. Breaking ball in there. It's 0-2.
He is right on top of that plate, almost daring Jimenez to throw one inside. Challenge with a fastball in the inner half. I don't know if he's going to.
Just a little bit high. He's right on top of home plate, and it really is inviting to pitchers to try to bust him inside.
But that's what he wants. He wants you to try and throw it in there so he can hook it down that right field line.
Pretty tough visual for a pitcher. You see the hitter standing right on top of the plate, and it really seems as though it's tough to get that ball in there. Like you can't really kind of fit it in.
And it also looks like he can cover that outside pitch.
Where'd you stand on the plate?
As far back in the batter's box as possible.
Away from the plate?
No, about normal, but as far back because I wanted to get to watch the ball as long as possible. You see Colby, he's right on top of the plate. My back foot would have been back on that back chalk line in the batter's box.
Off speed pitch. Rasmus strikes out. Blue Jays get a 2-out walk, but Ubaldo Jimenez picks up his first strikeout of the night. We've played 2. It's a scoreless game. Of the game brought to you by the new BlackBerry Z10, built to keep you moving.
Well, if you want to win, you've got to get 30 starts from your starting 5. And last year for the Blue Jays, it just didn't work out. Ricky Rivero led the team with 32 starts. Henderson Alvarez is gone to Miami and on the disabled list. Villanueva's in Chicago and Laffey's in New York. I think if they get the 30 starts from Brandon Morrow, and he did it a couple of years ago, you'll get the 200 innings that you need from each one of your starters also. Brandon just got 21 last year because of that oblique injury.
Changeup. 0-2. All of a sudden, Morrow is down in the zone where he needs to be. He's backed off the effort level a bit and commanding his pitches much more effectively. Michael Bourne was a strikeout victim his first time up. Boy, it must be nice to be standing out on the mound and getting breaking balls over and change-ups in there and then say, oh, I think I need 97 now.
Yeah, reach back for a little something extra.
Little looper, and his Sturs mistimed his late. Bourne is headed for second, and he'll reach. Another broken bat blooper. Historis tried to retreat, jumped for the ball, and mistimed his jump, and it went over his outstretched glove.
Yeah, I had a play like this in last night's game where he just ticked off of his glove. This time he had a little bit more time, and you're right, he mistimed it just a little bit. Morrow made a great pitch to Bourne and jammed him all over the field. And he ends up at second base.
With a double.
With a double.
Leadoff double in a scoreless ball game. Asdrubal Cabrera walked his first time up. There's a drive to right. Bautista gives ground, makes the catch. Bourne tags and moves to third. One down.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice. And by the 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Brandon Morrow had runners at first and second and third in the second and struck out to side. He's got Bourne at third now. Jason Kipnis bats with one out.
Yeah, and we talked about the strikeouts last inning. When you need it, when you've got guys on base, struck out the side. Well, here's the time where you got to do it also. You need a strikeout or a ground ball to the infield that's in, or maybe a short fly ball.
Pop up over near the Blue Jays dugout, and Asturias runs out of room. Jason Kipnis was tied for the team lead in RBIs last season. He had 76. That tied him with the catcher Carlos Santana for the club lead. Ball on the strike.
You know what else he did, Buck, was he hit with runners in scoring position for him last year. And that's why Terry Francona has him in that number 3 hole. He hit .303 with runners in scoring position, which led the Indians.
Pulled foul.
And you can see why. He's got a very short swing. Not a lot of extra movement or effort in his swing. It just lay the barrel of the bat out there on the baseball.
Hey, Francona knows he's got some special production out of his second baseman. Kipnis finished second in the American League in RBIs by a second baseman to Robbie Cano. 2-2. Got him. Hard breaking ball finishes off Kipnis. 5 strikeouts for Morrow.
I think that strikeout was a result of the previous pitch. Fastball in the inner half that he pulled. Now he's got fastball in the mind of Kipnis, and he drops that breaking ball on him to pick up a very important strikeout. Now the infield can move back.
First baseman Nick Swisher steps in. Swisher hit a weak fly ball on the left to end the first. Bourne just 90 feet away. Cutter up and in. Pushes him back off the plate. Swisher signed as a free agent, got a 4-year, $56 million contract from Cleveland. Lays off the changeup. These two know each other, obviously, and Swisher having spent his time in New York with the Yankees. That cutter missed upstairs. It's 3-0. One thing Terry Francona has told his hitters is, I'm not going to give you the take on 3-0 very often. I'm going to trust your judgment to get a good pitch to hit.
Why take the bat out of your hands? It might be the best pitch you see.
Off the plate, Swisher walks. He's always had a great eye. Brandon Morrow has improved his command over the last 3 years. His walks per 9 inning has improved dramatically.
Comes from a lot of hard work out in the bullpen when he was working on his mechanics and refining his delivery, being able to get that breaking ball over now. He's got a purpose when he goes out there and an idea what he wants to do to some of these hitters.
First and third. Blue Jays nemesis Michael Brantley with a infield single his first time up. Tough to hit that one. 96 at the knees.
The thing I like about Michael Brantley at the plate, he's very quiet. Uses his hands very well. Totally different than his father. His father had a real wild swing and had the big leg kick and everything. Very quiet and uses his hands really well.
And he's just learning about playing in the big leagues. He's only 25 years old. Originally drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers back in 2005. He was a 7th round pick.
Came over in the CC Sabathia trade. One guy that really nobody was talking about when that trade was made. He's turned into a pretty good player.
He was a player to be named later in that trade. Didn't come to Cleveland until October. Last year he hit .299 against right-handed pitching. J.P. Arencive out in front of home plate, giving the first and third defense should Swisher break for second. Bourne at third, Swisher at first. 2 outs. A scoreless game. On the ground, through the left side, another hit for Brantley. Bourne comes in to score the first run of the ball game. Michael Brantley is not going to want to leave Rogers Center.
Yeah, we were saying that last year. It's almost like, okay, I want to hit the ball the other way. Watch how he stays on the ball and just pushes it the other way. Finds the hole. That easily could have been a ball right at the third baseman or the shortstop, but when you're hot, you find holes, and Morrow just can't believe it. Actually made a pretty decent pitch.
Well, Brantley's first hit was a bouncing ball that went over the mound and never really got to second base. Bonifacio trying to make a video highlight reel play on it, but couldn't make the play. So Brantley is 2 for 2 tonight. He was 1 for 2 with a couple of walks last night. Been on base 5 of his 6 plate appearances in this series.
What's new?
Carlos Santana had a broken bat single in the second. Pulls this one wide of first. Boy, Santana doesn't waste any time. He's up there hacking. Last night in the 8th inning, with a man at first base, Sergio Santos entered the ball game, and Santana drilled his first pitch for a double.
You know, he has a reputation of a guy who sees a lot of pitches, will walk a lot. He was 3rd in the American League in walks last year, but he will pick his spots with runners on base, runners in scoring position, that if you just throw one of those fastballs right down the middle, he's ready to swing.
Oh, lost that breaking ball way outside. Santana was originally a Dodger. He signed as a free agent in 2004 as an amateur free agent with the Dodgers. He was traded to Cleveland in 2008 for the one-time Blue Jay Casey Blake.
How'd that work out? That's a nice trade for the Cleveland Indians.
Switch hitting catcher
with power.
Morrow ahead 1-2. Cut out and miss. Santana strikes out. But the Indians break through. They lead 1-0. Bottom of the third, it'll be Maicias Storis, the Blue Jays third baseman, followed by Emilio Bonifacio. Back to the top of the order. Reyes already has a hit tonight. And it came with 1 on and 1 out in the first. Bullpen takes a first pitch strike as he shows bunt. Bullpen 0 for 3 in his Blue Jays debut. Last year with the Angels, 256. Pops this one up over near the Blue Jays dugout, and that'll reach the seats. Bullpen is one of the first offseason acquisitions that Alex Anthopoulos made. He signed as a free agent here. Of course, his brother Cesar Astures came up to the Blue Jays in 2001. So he knows all about Toronto and the Blue Jays, and he was happy when Cesar Astures made the Cincinnati Reds this year.
And remember when he signed here, the original plan was he was going to be the second baseman. They were going to let Kelly Johnson go, and he was going to be the second baseman. And then the big trade with the Marlins happened.
Off-speed pitch pulled foul.
Meiser's also familiar with the Cleveland Indians because he broke in with the tribe.
He and Luis Rivera crossed paths in the minor leagues with Cleveland. Rivera was a manager in the minor leagues. That splitter bounced in the dirt. Rivera, in his first year as the third base coach, was the coaching assistant for the ball club last year. He is also the infield instructor. Bounced foul. I think Meiser is exactly the type of player that Blue Jays had on their mind. First, he's a switch hitter. Gives you that much more versatility. Plus, he can play third, short, second for John Gibbons. And right now, obviously, he's filling in for Brett Laurie.
Can run a little bit also. He was 17 for 19 in stolen bases last year.
The Blue Jays have really strengthened their running game, including Astures and his high percentage. Bonifacio also a high percentage base theft. There's a drive to right. Looking up, Drew Stubbs. This ball is gone. Meiser Astures. His first home run of the season.
Not really known as a power hitter. He only hit 2 home runs last year. And this one could lift the ball club right here. Looking for a big hit. Meiser turns on that fastball. Look at that, right down and through the baseball for his first home run.
Bunted on the ground, but fouled by Bonifacio. Astures in 2009 hit 8 home runs with the Angels. He also drove in 65. It was his best offensive year. He hit 300 for the season. That's got to be a great feeling to get your first hit and tie the game up with your first home run of the season.
Make it a big one. Long fly. Chad Mottola, the hitting coach, likes it.
Now, the Blue Jays have a lot of power in their lineup, but they didn't necessarily expect Meiser Astures to hit the first home run of the season. But they'll take it. You can bet on that. Ball and a strike to Bonifacio. Pat, you mentioned earlier Jimenez with the problems here last season. Went just 2 1/3, and the long balls really hurt him.
Both of them off of fastballs, and it looked like that's what Astures hit right there, a 3-2 fastball, and he turned on it.
Slap down the left side and foul. One ball game. The Indians have out-hit the Blue Jays 4-2. Right down Broadway. Bonifacio couldn't pull the trigger. Second strikeout of the night for Jimenez. Fans, if you want your baseball questions answered by our team of experts, and we got a big team, email asktheexperts@sportsnet.ca and keep your eye out for the Home Hardware Ask the Expert segment later on in this ball game. If our baseball experts can't answer the question, nobody can.
Nobody can. We got a little bit of everything, don't we?
Cast of thousands, and you can bet somebody will be able to answer your question. Reyes with a big swing, and he's in the hole 0-2. Menace pours that fastball right by Jose Reyes. It's his third strikeout of the night.
No tricks this time with 2 strikes. It's going to be fastball right down Broadway. He's got a couple of pitches that he can use for strikeouts. Good breaking ball and a good splitter, but the last 2, it's been fastball. Fastball city against Bonifacio and Reyes.
He knows both of those hitters, having spent time pitching against them in the National League. Melky Cabrera looks at that splitter, missed down and away. Cabrera reached on a field of his choice in his first at bat. Another off-speed pitch. Bautista on deck. There's a strike taking all the way. Cabrera is now ahead 3-1.
Figure out a way, excuse me, Buck, to get on base for him, for your number 3 hitter.
This is popped up. Left field, Michael Brantley over near the line, and Jimenez gets out of the inning. Couple of strikeouts, but how about the leadoff hitter in the inning? Maicer Asturias, his first hit of the season, is a long ball. He's tied it up 1-1 after 3 here at Rogers Center. Brandon Mara's opponent's batting average has dropped each of the last 3 seasons, and it's just a reminder of the transition from reliever to full-time starter. And he has worked hard to improve his delivery and to really establish himself, and he has truly become one of the more dominant starters in all of baseball.
Yeah, and we showed that in the opening about the batting average, tying Jared Weaver for the lowest in the American League, 120 innings pitched minimum.
Mark Reynolds. Big swing and a miss. He's behind 0-2.
You know what else he did? He was one of 4 American League pitchers to have an ERA under 3 in those minimum 120 pitches. And that too is a who's who in starting pitchers. Verlander, Price, Jared Weaver, the other 3 pitchers to do it.
Reynolds strikes out for a second time tonight. That's 7 strikeouts for Morrow already.
He's got so many weapons right now that he can use. This time, breaking ball that hangs over there, and Reynolds swings through it. He's got the hard slider. That didn't look like the slider with the sharp break out of the strike zone. And he's also got a fastball.
Racking up the Ks. Need a big supply when you come to a ball game with Morrow pitching. Lonnie Chisenhall has struck out. That's some high cheese right there. Tough to catch up to that fastball.
As a hitter, it looks like you're going to just cream it. That it's right there and it just rises right out of the strike zone. There's not a whole lot you can do with it.
7 of the 10 outs Morrow has recorded, as you saw, coming on strikeouts. There's a time and a place when you need those strikeouts, and he certainly needed them back in the second.
3rd inning also, he had a couple of runners that he left on base, finishing off Santana with a punch out.
1-2. 8 strikeouts for Morrow. Chisenhall for a second time walked back to the dugout.
And 7 of them swinging variety. It shows you that he's got some pretty good stuff. When they're offering at it, he's around the plate, and the stuff is so good that they're swinging right through it. 7 of the 8, as you see Chisenhall head down, but he comes up empty.
Drew Stubbs. Whatever Pete Walker said to Brandon Morrow early in the game is working out. There's a drive down the right side, deep but foul. Had home run distance. Stubbs hit 14 home runs a year ago playing for the Cincinnati Reds. He hit just .213 for the season, but he's an interesting guy. And if he can find his stroke down at the bottom of the order, he is really going to become a valuable player for Cleveland.
Terry Francona likes his speed down there. 30 steals last year, 40 the year before, 30 the year before that. Terry says we've got some speed and we're going to use it this season.
Ball and a strike to the number 9 hitter Stubbs. This ball is popped into center. Colby Erasmus moved underneath, and another 3 up, 3 down inning. First one of the night for Brandon Morrow. Seems as though he's found his rhythm. in the TD Comfort Zone. Our guests of TD, the TD Comfort Zone, courtesy of TD. Great venue, and if you watched the last couple of seasons, you'll recognize that the TD Comfort Zone has been moved to the second level. Great view for the fans. And Pat and I can vouch for the fact that it's a much safer location for those TD seats than down along the first base foul line.
Yeah, you're not as close. Now, being up there, you might fall asleep in that chair now. It's so comfortable.
Jose Bautista hit into a 4-6-3 double play in the first. Breaking ball driven to right. Stubbs on the run, gets there and makes the catch just a stride on the warning track. One down.
The 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Good crowd on hand. Game 2 of the season here at Rogers Center. Should be a great week. It's the Honda opening week all week long. The Indians will play their series finale tomorrow night, and then Friday night John Farrell and the Boston Red Sox will be in town. Friday night and a couple of afternoon games Saturday and Sunday.
And I hear that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there are going to be some good crowds down here when the Sox come to town.
Should be a great weekend for baseball. Boston won their opener 8-2 in New York against the Yankees. Edwin Encarnacion popped up to the second baseman his first time up. Terrific season a year ago for Edwin. What a year he put together. Erwin Danley got something in his eye on that foul tip. He's getting some help from the training staff. They mentioned the Red Sox coming to town Friday, April 5th. Game starts at 7:07 p.m. Then an afternoon affair. 1:07 start on Saturday. Same in Sunday, 1:07. For tickets, call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234. Log on to BlueJays.com. Stop by most Rogers Plus locations for your tickets to the Red Sox series.
I think that Sunday game is R.A. Dickey and John Lester. It should be a lot of fun.
R.A. Dickey's second start of the season will take place Sunday afternoon against the lefty John Lester. 2-2 pitch to Encarnacion. There's that splitter, and it's a wicked one. Fourth strikeout for Ubaldo Jimenez.
He throws it with great arm action. You have to respect the fastball that Jimenez has. But then right out of the same arm slot with the same type of arm speed, you get that. And if it's around the plate, you got to swing.
Jimenez has huge hands. That baseball looks like a golf ball in his hands and really allows him to get the most out of that splitter. Jim Tracy, the former Colorado Rockies manager, mentioned to me when he goes to his cap and holds that baseball in his pitching hand, it looks like a Titleist.
A marble?
Yeah.
In his hand.
And that's got to be unnerving for hitters out there looking. You see his hand, oh my goodness. He's got a little tiny baseball in his hand.
His heroes, Pedro Martinez, and Pedro Martinez, same type of frame, not as tall. Long arms and long fingers where you can control that splitter.
2 balls and a strike to Adam Lynn, the Blue Jays DH. Downstairs, had a good look. Lynn is looking for his first hit of the season. Actually, had a couple good at-bats in last night's game.
Yeah, he scalded a couple balls and had nothing to show for it.
Chases that high, hard one.
Hit a ball up the middle his first at-bat and was robbed of a hit. Shortstop, Asdrubal Cabrera, look where he is playing. Almost directly behind the pitcher. Tough to get one back through the middle.
And stays alive. That ball was out over the plate. Quite a scattered assortment of pitches to Lind in this at bat.
All over the place. Look what Adam Lind is looking at when he looks out at Jimenez. Where's the hole? Tough to shoot one through.
Another full count pitch. Lind will take the walk. It's his second walk issued by Jimenez. Pitch is cautiously to Lind, and he'll deal now with J.P. Arancibia, who had the other walk.
That's the one thing that Urbano Jimenez wanted to work on in the spring, is cut down those base on balls. He had just 5 walks in 25 spring innings this year. That's an excellent ratio, especially coming from a guy who had 15 walks in 23 innings last spring.
3 of those 5 walks came in his last start in spring. Arancibia takes one away. Jimenez falls behind JP. Fastball on the corner. Arancibia, now 27 years old. Last year, he had a great week in May. He was named the American League Player of the Week. This time, he's out in front of that pitch. He became the first Blue Jays catcher to win the Player of the Week award. Boy, there were some great stretches for Arancibia a year ago. But then on the 26th of July, took a foul chip off his right hand and broke it. Didn't return until the 7th of September. Actually stayed in the game after taking that foul chip off the bat of Brandon Inge.
You know, they were trying to get him out, and he's like, no way. He has become a very good breaking ball hitter. At times he'll look for that breaking ball with 2 strikes. Send it into the outfield for extra bases.
2-2. Upstairs. He's having a good look at Ubaldo Jimenez. Jimenez has thrown 69 pitches as he works with 2 outs here in the 4th. Justin Masterson was on a similar pace last night, but really settled down nicely. There goes Lind. Ball is strike 3 called. Jimenez dropped the breaking ball. 2 strikeouts in the inning. It's a 1-1 ball game. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Blackberry broadcast studio. Of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. 1-1 ball game as we hit the top of the fifth. Top of the order, Michael Bourne takes the first pitch strike. Bourne had a little broken bat bloop double in his last at bat. He has scored the only Indians run of the ball game. Boy, it is tough to pitch around a leadoff double, especially top of the order. Your leadoff man gets on, start the inning, and he hits that double. Chances are he's going to score.
Well, Brandon almost did it. Your leadoff hitter gets that double. He's got speed. Brandon came back with a fly ball and then a strikeout, a walk, and then had 2 strikes on Brantley and gave up a base hit. So he has the stuff to get out of those types of jams.
Yeah, Brantley couldn't have rolled the ball any better through the infield. With 2 strikes, he used that emergency hack and kind of guided it through the left side of the infield. Hit that 5-6 hole very well. 2-2. Bourne leading off the fifth. Fly ball left field. Easy play for Melky Cabrera. A couple of steps back. Bourne is retired.
Well, Brandon Morrow, to show you the type of luck he's had, hasn't been very good. Watch, this is the first hit of the ball game by Brantley. Just a cue shot off the bat or off the plate, and then a jam sandwich by Santana. There's the Bourne double right off the hands for that, and there's that one that you were just talking about. The 9-hopper through the left side of the infield. If you or I hit that, how many guys catch that ball?
9. They all bang their heads diving together to catch it and throw us out.
But he finds the hole and picks up the RBI.
Boy, that looked like a Tony Gwynn special, didn't it?
Yeah, a little inside out, little 2-strike approach.
Asdrubal Cabrera pulls back from an inside cutter. Ball on the strike. 1-1 ball game. Big swing and a foul off.
Indians just haven't been able to square it up against Morrow.
Xavier and Sebia, just like Kerwin Danny, now they're both checking their eyes. Those foul balls kick that surface up around home plate. Home plate, the subsurface is hard packed clay, but there's a mixture of dirt and turfus around, and you can see it gets kicked up very easily.
Yeah, you
balls in the dirt.
Got to deal with the chalk also of the batter's box. Here's what you were talking about. Foul tip right off the dirt and right into the face mask of J.P. and Sebia. Great shot.
Two and two. Line right to the second baseman, Bonifacio. 2 down. Bonifacio and Reyes up the middle. Boy, they have a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot was talked about Bonifacio playing second base this season, especially in spring training when he got up to a rough start, and they were all throwing errors. I believe he made 4 errors early in the camp. They were throwing errors, and a lot of it had to do from moving from the outfield to the infield.
Bonifacio only made 14 starts last year at second base for the Miami Marlins. And in those 14 games, he committed 3 errors.
It's tough. It's tough to move from the outfield to the infield. You've got different throwing motions in the outfield. You want to really extend and get on top of the ball at second base. You're just trying to flick the ball over there. And you're throwing from different angles from the infield. You might have to throw under to get a guy down at second base who's trying to break up a double play. You might have to go hard to your left and just kind of turn and flick the ball over to first base. It's taken some time for him to get that throwing motion down.
There's his strike. Yeah, you know exactly what that's all about. You had to go from the infield to the outfield when you played, and it's just quite a challenge to go back and forth and make the adjustments physically with your arm. Another foul back and another face full of dirt for the catcher and the umpire. Jason Kipnis 0 for 2. Kerwin Danley and J. Pierre and Sebia have had to deal with dirt in their eyes tonight. 1-1 ball game. Top of the 5th inning. Morrow with the full count pitch to Kipnis. Pulled to Encarnacion. He'll step on the bag, and that ends the inning. Brandon Morrow has found his groove. He is 7 straight down. Just 2 hits in his 2 innings. Kuroda got roughed up by Boston. Inning in the 3rd, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. He's out of the game. And then Cody Epley has been abused. And if Kuroda left that game with an arm problem, that's a big concern.
Yeah, so Steve Donahue out there. So we'll have to see how that plays out tomorrow in the newspapers.
Nick Swisher goes to the bag to retire Colby Erasmus, first out of the 5th. It's a 1-1 ball game, and as we mentioned, Ubaldo Jimenez and Brandon Morrow hooked up last year in the 2nd game of the season in Cleveland, and they both went 7 innings and allowed just 1 hit each.
Right back at it. Ubaldo Jimenez looks good. Throwing strikes consistently. Had a chance to pitch in the WBC for the Dominican Republic and declined that. He wanted to go to spring training and work with Mickey Callaway, the new pitching coach, and work on his mechanics and try to get that pitching windup smoothed out just a little bit.
Meister Isturiz responsible for the only Blue Jays run of the night. A solo shot to start off the bottom of the 3rd. Mickey Callaway and Jimenez developed a pretty good relationship early on.
Callaway went down to see him in the Dominican Republic after he was named the pitching coach with Terry Francona. And he said, I don't want you to think about mechanics. Let's just smooth it out. Just speed up your delivery just a little bit. A lot of times he got caught back behind the pitching rubber with that hook of his arm right there, and it really messed him up. Just smooth it out, speed up the delivery just a little bit, and good things are going to happen. Just keep the ball down.
Obviously, anybody in your starting rotation very important to your ball club, but they'd love to see Jimenez bounce back to the form he had a couple of years ago in Colorado. 19-8 in 2010. As we mentioned earlier, he finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting that year. Isturiz flips it toward left, but they were set up perfectly. Michael Brantley makes the catch, 2 down. Rogers customers can watch every Blue Jay game this season on Sportsnet live on your smartphone. Visit RogersAnyPlaceTV.com/sports to get started. Pick the Blue Jays anywhere you go. And you can bet it's going to be an exciting season. A lot of turnover, a lot of new faces, and a lot of stars on this ball club. Here's one of the new faces. Emilio Bonifacio takes a first pitch strike.
You know, that's the thing about the Blue Jays now. You got 2 outs, nobody on, but they can strike quickly now. You get Bonifacio on. Hit a stolen base. He's in scoring position, and Reyes comes up. They can generate and manufacture some runs even with 2 outs.
Leadoff man Reyes, 1 for 2. He's on deck.
You know,
way outside.
You couldn't say that last year because their runs, the Blue Jays' runs, came via the home run, one of the highest percentages in the American League last year. That if they were not hitting home runs, they weren't scoring runs.
Just outside the bag at third. That would have been nice had it been fair.
Would have loved to have seen Bonifacio's legs versus Brantley's arm on that one. Hit it hard down the left field line. Brantley got over there nicely last night and had held Bautista to a single.
1-2. Pulled on the ground. Kipnis to his right. First in time. Jimenez sits down the Blue Jays in order in the 5th. 1-1 ball game. Headed to the top of the 6th, and here comes the Home Hardware cleanup crew. Brought to you by Natura. Home Hardware's exclusive line of safe, environmentally friendly cleaning products.
The 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Heck of a ball game going on here at Rogers Center. A 1-1 game as we move into the 6th inning. It'll be the middle of the order for Cleveland. Swisher, Brantley, and Santana. First pitch pulled wide of first. Encarnacion shovels high to Morrow. What a play by Brandon Morrow. Boy, he really had to extend as that ball was high. Encarnacion gave him a high flip, and Morrow made a heck of a play.
Yeah, you got to find the ball and you got to find the bag. The first baseman wants to get this ball to that pitcher quickly so he can catch it, run up that baseline, and record the out. This time, because it's a long throw, it's going to be a high throw. And look at Brandon Morrow athletically go up, catch it, and then come down and make the out. You see, you go over, come up the line. That's an athletic play by a pitcher.
Boy, it sure is. And Encarnacion gave him a tough feed, but he had a long throw to make. He had to go way to his right, and that ball just hung in his hand a little bit too long, and he gave him a little looper that Morrow made a fine play. That's a big out to start the inning. Here comes Babe Ruth.
Yeah, especially for the guy who's coming up. That out is big.
Michael Brantley 2 for 2 tonight. I guess you could say more like Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn.
He's had a chopper for an infield hit and feathered one through the 5-6 hole on the left side. Or maybe we'll call him George Brett. He hits everything, doesn't he? 3 for 3 tonight for Michael Brantley. He continues to wear out the Blue Jays in this ballpark. Steve Delabar loosening up. We're in the 6th inning. John Gibbons looking at the matchup sheet, checking out who's coming up, where Morrow is in his pitch count. Morrow has racked up 8 strikeouts tonight.
And I think you want to be conservative the first time through the starting rotation early in the year. Remember, Morrow's only had 19 innings of work in spring training.
Santana had a broken back single in the 2nd inning. Morrow struck him out with a slider in the 3rd.
That's got to be a strike.
Looks like a strike.
Wow.
But the only guy that matters is Kerwin Danley, the umpire, and he called it a ball. 2-0.
Big difference hitting 2-0 as opposed to 1-1. Now Morrow's got to make a better one.
And it cost him. Base hit into right. Bautista made a good play. That ball skipped on Bautista. Had to play it off to the side, but back-to-back one-out hits here in the 6th, and the Indians are threatening.
You know, Santana knows he's going to get a fastball. 2-0 count, tie score late in the ball game. He knows he's going to get a fastball, so he can swing as hard as he can, try and elevate that baseball. Rips it into right field for his 2nd hit of the night.
He is now 5 for 10 against Brandon Morrow. Mark Reynolds has struck out twice against Brandon tonight. He's kind of an all or nothing guy.
Yeah, the type of hitter that Mark Reynolds is, you're not going to get a lot of ground ball double plays. He doesn't hit a lot of ground ball double plays. He's a fly ball type of hitter who strikes out a lot. John Gibbons is hoping that he gets one on the ground, because if he gets it on the ground, Blue Jays will get out of the inning.
Pete Walker checking on the status of Steve Delabar, who is loosening up in the Blue Jays pen. Off speed pitch. Now here's where Aaron Seavey and Morrow have to be wise. You know that Reynolds is coming out of his shoes looking for fastball.
Maybe you could take a little something off and make him reach for it. That's right. JP tell him just to slow down just a little bit.
Another 2-0 pitch from Morrow. Cutter on the outside corner. This is one thing that Morrow has learned to do the last couple of years. Learn how to control these situations. Not try to throw harder, just make better quality pitches when you're in a jam.
And that was a good one. 2-1, he cut the fastball a little bit.
It takes a while before you can get to that point in your career. This is his 93rd career start.
The biggest part about that is just trusting it. Trusting that if you make a good pitch, you'll get a good hitter out.
2-2. Foul back, and Reynolds stays alive. So often for young players, whether you're a position player or a pitcher, the way you think you can get out of tough situations is to try harder.
Try harder. A pitcher, throw harder. I got to reach back for a little something extra here. And that's when you start making mistakes.
Morrow has thrown 99 pitches to this point. Reynolds has struck out twice already tonight. Fights it off. Back to Morrow. Goes to second for one. Back to first. What a double play. Brandon Morrow, 2 outstanding defensive plays this inning to help his own cause. A great play to start the inning at first base, and then he starts a nifty double play to close out the threat. It's still a 1-1 game. Those are the guys that'll hit this inning, trying to give Brandon Morrow a lead. What an inning for Brandon Morrow. He pitched out of a jam, and tonight he's pitched out of several jams. The Indians are 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and Brandon Morrow has really been tough in those situations.
Yeah, how about flashing some athleticism also? Those defensive plays, outstanding work.
Top of the order, Reyes takes the first pitch strike. You just have to believe that all of the pitchers have been impacted by the presence of Mark Burner. Gold Glover got his Gold Glove last night, his 4th consecutive Gold Glove award, and he loves to work at his craft. He loves to put in the time, and I got to believe that's going to help all of these pitchers.
Now, R.A. Dickey's no slouch either.
He's a good fielder, too.
A good fielder.
Josh Johnson, teammates of Burley last season, on the bench. And Burley will go tomorrow. Johnson will pitch on Friday, open up the series against the Boston Red Sox. Contrasting styles, to be sure.
Yeah, I'm anxious to watch both of them.
Reyes stays alive. He knows what his job is right now. This inning, get on board. Get on base for the number 2 hitter, Melky Cabrera. And the guy in the hole, Jose Bautista. 1-2. Putting up a fight. Bautista will bat 3rd this inning.
Jose Reyes trying to fight off those pitches. Look how far he spreads out. Just use your hands here. Track that ball.
Another tough pitch that he spoils.
It's a good 2-strike approach. Watch how spread out he is. Hardly any stride. Just anything close. Just kind of flick that bat at the ball.
Batting champ in the National League 2011. He knows what he's doing. Blue Jays have managed just 2 hits against Jimenez. They had 4 hits last night. To give you an idea, the Blue Jays in their first 2 games with just 6 hits. The fewest hits by a Blue Jays team in the first 2 games of a season is 9. It happened twice, 1990 and 1998. 1-2. What a job by Reyes. Of course, those stats brought to you by none other than the finest stats man in baseball, Scotty Carson. Hard working already. Just game 2 and he's giving us gems like that.
Where do you find those things, Scotty? What a battle.
1-2. Oh, he called him out. Reyes is saying, hey, I've seen every pitch all at bat, and that pitch was inside. Big strikeout for Jimenez as he gets the first batter of the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, he was zeroing in on Jimenez. He saw every pitch spread out, and he can't believe that that ball's called a strike. Looked like it might have been inside.
Boy, he protested and just walked back to the dugout, but he had a heck of an at bat. He tracked that ball right into the glove of Santana and was surprised to hear strike 3. Six strikeouts now for Jimenez. Melky Cabrera is 0 for 2. Back up the middle, base hit. Man on, 1 out. Let's go back to the top half of this inning and talk about the great defense by the pitcher, Brandon Morrow.
It's still a tie game because of Brandon Morrow. First pitch of last inning, and watch the athleticism as he goes up, catches the ball, and keeps his foot on that bag. And then this one, I love this one. Sets his feet like a shortstop, whirls and fires a strike to second base to start the 1-4-3 double play.
That'll make Mark Burley proud right there. That was a heck of a double play. 1 out. Bautista's aboard with a man on. Big swing and a foul tip back in the glove of Santana. Double play came in the first, the fly ball in the 4th. 1-1 ball game.
You know, we've seen Jose before. Take what the defense gives you. And with a runner at first base, look at the hole on the right side of the infield.
He could drive a truck through that hole.
He might take one shot at playing first and third and maybe try to drive one over that way.
He's back and fouls it back. Jose, all throughout BP this evening, was hitting balls to right field. I think he recognized how tough it has been for him against Jimenez and was just trying to stay on the ball and go the opposite way. He is now 1 for 15 against Jimenez. Hanging tough. This will be the 101st pitch for Jimenez, but first he'll check on Melky Cabrera. We talked about Cabrera being a high percentage base stealer. He's a pretty sharp base runner. 13 for 18 a year ago. Bautista's in a hole, 1-2. Just off the plate outside. Jimenez takes a long time to unload. There's a lot going on once he starts his delivery toward the plate.
So if you pick the right pitch to run on, you can steal on him.
There goes Cabrera. Bautista pops it up foul, and that's going to reach the seats. Oh, Cabrera had a big jump.
He picked the right time. He picked the right pitch. And it had a huge jump on Jimenez. Watch this. First movement. He's moving before Jimenez delivers to the plate.
And because of that, Carlos Santana went to the mound to have a short visit with Jimenez. Hey, give me a shot now.
37 attempts of a stolen base when Jimenez was on the mound last year. They were only successful 5 times. So you're right with that long delivery. You pick the right pitch, you can get yourself a stolen base.
2-2 pitch to Bautista. Bouncing ball, Kipnis to his left. To Cabrera, and Jimenez gets out of the inning with a double play. Bautista bounces into a double play for the second time tonight. It's still a 1-1 game. We'll move to the 7th. Steve Delabar in the ball game. Steve Delabar will make his first appearance of the 2013 season. His numbers for the season combined Seattle and Toronto numbers. He appeared in 61 ball games, and this is a very important key to the Blue Jays bullpen this year.
Yeah, a strong armor who can come in and just set down the opposition and get to the closer. Delabar with great numbers, ridiculous 92 strikeouts in those 62 innings pitched for Steve Delabar. Fastball, slider, and a splitter. The line for Brandon Morrow, not too bad.
He goes 6 innings, allows just 6 hits, a single run. He walked 2 and struck out 8. And the big thing about it was he pitched out of jams all night long. The Indians just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Steve Delabar delivers a first pitch strike to the third baseman, Lonnie Chisenhall. Delabar has made just 2 appearances in his career against Cleveland, both coming last year. 97, but downstairs, a ball and a strike to Chisenhall. A couple of strikeouts against Morrow. That's pretty good fastball right in on the hands of Chisenhall.
He has that ability to throw it both sides of the plate. And if you are a hitter, this is where you don't want to be standing with 2 strikes against Steve. He's got that great splitter, and he unveiled that slider that we've been hearing about in Philadelphia for a couple of strikeouts.
Delabar's bread and butter, as you mentioned, the fastball and splitter, but boy, that third pitch he's added is a good one. And obviously he's going to pick his spots. He's not going to use his third pitch in a tight situation unless he uses it to get ahead of an aggressive hitter. He's ahead now, 1-2. Isn't all late and chops it foul. Lonnie Chisenhall last year played in 43 games once he came up from the minor leagues. for the season. He had 268, had 5 home runs in those 43 games. There's the slider, but it was inside off the plate. Having a little visit with himself on the mound. 1-1 ball game. We're in the 7th. Strikes him out. Elevates the fastball and gets the first batter he faces. Canada continues its historic run in the Davis Cup after taking down #1 ranked Spain. Milos Reynolds leads Canada against Italy in the quarterfinal action. Live coverage from Vancouver begins Friday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Sportsnet 1. Quite a run Team Canada has been on. Very exciting match. Eliminates Spain, and now they'll take on Italy. Drew Stubbs is gone 0 for 2 with the strikeout. That's the kind of heat you need out of the bullpen late in the game.
Yeah, those 2 first fastballs to Drew Stubbs were by him.
Something the Blue Jays have been looking for a while. Overpowering arms. Back up the middle. That'll sneak under the glove of Reyes into center. An 0-2 base hit for Drew Stubbs.
Haven't seen the splitter yet this inning. Fastball, and he just pokes it right back through the middle. Now, this is why Terry Francona wanted some speed at the bottom of their lineup right here. This situation, late in the game, tie score, you turn the lineup over, and you've got a base-stealing threat at first base now.
Stubbs, 30 steals in 37 attempts. Big lead at first. Michael Bourne had a bloop double over the third baseman back in the third. He has scored the only Indians run of the game. Calabar checks in on Stubbs. Calabar does a decent job of neutralizing the running game. 2 stolen bases in 4 attempts against him last year in 61 games. But he has fallen behind Michael Bourne. Terry Francona has given his base stealers the green light. He feels if you put the steal on, sometimes runners will break when they don't get a good jump. 2-0. There goes Stubbs. Aaron Sebia from his knees bounces it, and Bonifacio did a good job of backing up the play. Aaron Sebia's throw was way short of the mark, and Bonifacio got right behind Reyes and took the bad throw and kept Stubbs from advancing to third.
You see him hold his position as long as possible until that ball clears the batter, and then your job is to go back there for that reason right there. Back up a wild throw. Stubbs picks up his first stolen base of the season.
So now the go-ahead run is in scoring position. The Indians tonight, as we mentioned, just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. 3-0 strike to Michael Bourne. Bourne slices it into the seats. John Gibbons obviously expected a bunch of offense this year, and he'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
But in the first 2 games, the Indians have quieted the powerful Blue Jay bats.
Outfield swung around to the left, and they're not very deep against Bourne. You can see a base hit to the outfield, and they'll have a shot at the plate.
3-2. He walked him. So Bourne will go to first. It'll be first and second with one out. Pete Walker out to talk to his right-hander. Nobody throwing in the Blue Jays bullpen. This would be a tactical message from Walker about the approach that they're taking. You can see Walker's talking more to Aaron Sebia now than he's talking to Delabar. So they might be discussing pitch selection. A reminder, Junior Jays Saturday will take place. They're presented by Boston Pizza. Saturday, April 6th, the Blue Jays will welcome in the Boston Red Sox. It's a 107 start. Special kids price tickets in the 200 and 500 level outfield seats. After the game, always popular, the kids get to run the bases. If you're 14 and under, you can come on the field and run the bases just like the pros. Call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234 for tickets. Jason Kipnis comes hard charging after that first pitch and fouls it back. Excuse me, Asdrubal Cabrera. Got ahead of myself.
He's already come up with some big hits already in this series. The home run yesterday.
Cabrera 0 for 2 so far. Upstairs, looked like that splitter kind of slipped out of his hand. 88 miles an hour.
I'm watching Michael Bourne over there at first base, and he's locked on Drew Stubbs, the runner at second base, just in case they might want to try and use their speed. Look at him, staring right at his teammate.
Good off-speed pitch that Cabrera fouls back. One thing that's interesting about Delabar's splits from a year ago, he had just 3 double plays turned behind him. He's a high strikeout guy, and he can rack up the strikeouts, but in 238 at bats last year, just 3 double plays.
A lot of fly balls also.
Asdrubal Cabrera in the hole, 1-2. Gets a piece of it and stays alive.
You know, the thing that's so impressive with Delabar, as you see Esmil Rogers now starting to get loose, is that split finger fastball. He throws it so hard. 88 to almost 90 miles an hour with some good tumbling action on him. That's where he'll get a lot of strikeouts.
This is popped up. Infield fly, and Cabrera is out as Bonifacio makes the play. 2 down. The Indians continue to struggle tonight with runners in scoring position. Blue Jays doing a good job of pitching tough in those scoring opportunities. They're now 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Now Jason Kipnis 0 for 3 tonight. Kipnis facing Delabar for the first time in his career. Delabar falls behind 2-0. Great speed on the bases for Cleveland. R.A. Dickey encouraging Steve Delabar trying to help him out, get out of this inning. Big swing and a miss from Kipnis.
Infield deep on the right side of the infield. Anything on the ground, you got to knock it down. Keep that runner from scoring. You can see Reyes kind of dancing in behind the runner there just to try and keep him as close as possible to that bag so he doesn't get a good jump.
This again gets a piece of it, but fouls it into the glove of Aaron Sebia. The Blue Jays outfielders play shallow, and they have strong arms. You can see Rasmus, medium depth in center and straight away. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Splitter is chopped toward third as Storis in time. Delabar pitches out of a jam. It's still a 1-1 ball game. Middle of the order for the Blue Jays. Powerful Edwin Encarnacion will start things off. Adam Lynn followed by the catcher, J.P. Arancibia. Game, 10 hits in the ball game, and both starters are out of the game. Cleveland has really had a lot of opportunities, but Brandon Morrow and Steve Delabar has pitched them tough. Cleveland at 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position tonight.
Just like the Blue Jays had a lot of opportunities last night, Cleveland pitchers made pitches and got out of it. Tonight, the Indians have had all kind of opportunities. Brandon Morrow, outstanding work in his 6 innings, making pitches when he had to, getting the big strikeout. How about the defense of Brandon tonight? Outstanding.
Brandon Morrow, he's made some great plays in the field. The Blue Jays have had only one batter reach second base, and that was Meiser Storis on his home run. New pitcher for the Indians will be Brian Shaw. This will be his Indians debut. He pitched last year with the Diamondbacks in Arizona.
He came over in that trade that Trevor Bauer also came over in Drew Stubbs, a 3-team trade between Arizona and Cincinnati. Basically a sinker slider type of pitcher. He's got a great 2-seam fastball and a good sharp breaking slider.
And it's hard. 95 miles an hour. Both those pitches are up in the zone a bit, but he threw them past Encarnacion, who's getting his first look at Brian Shaw.
More ground balls than fly balls off of Shaw. Almost 40 more ground balls than fly balls off of the right-hander.
Well, you got to pitch that way if you're going to pitch in Arizona. And that ball really jumps there. Sinker ballers can fare well. 0-2 pitch. Upstairs. A lot of life on that pitch. When sailed and ran up and away from Encarnacion. We mentioned at the top of the show that it might be a rough night for the hitters, and it has been. 2-2. Now it's down to a battle of the bullpens. That ball is hit into center. That'll drop in front of Michael Board, and Escobar. Encarnacion starts things off. I don't care who you bring out of the bullpen. The Blue Jay hitters have to be thrilled it's not Ubaldo Jimenez pitching anymore.
6 innings, just 3 hits. The big blow, the home run by Asturias back in the 3rd inning. Here's a good sign, just 2 base on balls and 6 strikeouts for Jimenez in his first start of the season.
You mentioned he only walked 5 through spring training, and it's like a little different Jimenez, and that's good news for the Indians, bad news for the Blue Jays. Leadoff man's aboard, Encarnacion, with his first hit of the season. Blue Jays, with 4 hits now, have matched their total from last night. They scored 1 run on 4 hits last night. It's exactly where they are right now. Lynn pops it up into left. Brantley coming in. Lynn's retired. Edwin Encarnacion with a leadoff single. J.P. Arancibia has walked and struck out. J.P. doubled in his last at bat last night. Hit a drive to the gap in right center, went all the way up against the wall. Cut on and missed by Arancibia. Blue Jays have grounded into 2 double plays tonight. And Bautista's hit them both.
And this is the guy right here who can get a lot of ground balls. We told you he'll throw a lot of ground balls. Natural cutter and a good sinker.
Arancibia trying to go yard. Drop that back shoulder, trying to get some lift against Shaw.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with that, I think. If you pick the right time and the right sequence at the plate, try to unload one here. What you don't want to do is get it on the ground. Get it up in the air.
Nasty breaking ball. Good job by Santana to keep it in front. Home crowd looking for the W. Hopped up out in front of home plate. Swisher, the first baseman, comes over in front of the mound and makes the catch. 2 down. Blue Jays on the Super Camps are back this season. They're presented by Baseball Canada and Little League Canada. London, Ontario will be the site for the first camp, April 19th, 20th, and 21st at Centerfield Sports. The instructors will include Jesse Barfield, Sandy Alomar Sr., Devon White, Adam Stern, and Dwayne Ward. Visit BlueJays.com/Baseball Academy for more details. The Blue Jays are proud supporters of amateur baseball across Canada. Colby Erasmus with Encarnacion at first. Takes one inside, right on the hands of Erasmus. A strikeout and a ground out tonight.
Boy, pick on one of those cut fastballs and try and rope it into the corner. And watch Edwin run.
Blue Jays are just a bit tardy against Shaw. He's got a better arm. Back into their bullpen. We saw it last night. They've got some legit arms. Joe Smith, Vinny Pestano, and Chris Perez held the Blue Jays to just a single hit over the last 3 innings of the game. And they each had a strikeout. Encarnacion ended up with 13 steals a year ago. He was 13 for 16. He steals some big bases.
Yep, he picked the right time. If you forget about him over there, he might take off on you.
Two and one. Good time to run here. 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs. I figure Rasmus is going to get something around the zone. If he happens to hit it with Encarnacion moving, he's liable to score, not running. Pulled foul.
Well, that was it right there, wasn't it? That cut fastball in the inner half. And he's got a knack of poking that ball to right field. You're going to have to keep it away from these outfielders because they cover a lot of ground for the Indians. A couple of times in last night's game, they cut balls off that looked like extra base hits.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Full count. That'll get the base runner moving. Encarnacion at first. Swisher's going to stay on the bag. It's a 1-1 ball game. You don't want to play behind him to give him a bigger lead.
Yeah, and you can stay right on that line also, so you play no doubles. So he's going to hold him on at first base.
Full count. There goes Encarnacion. The ball is hit into center field. Michael Bourne shuffling back, has a beat on it, then the inning is over. The Blue Jays and the Indians will go to the 8th. Terrific pitchers duel. It's a 1-1 game. Park 3D in theaters Friday for a limited time only.
Blue Jays are coming off a long spring training, and in spring training, what are the 2 plays the pitchers work on the most? Covering first base and the comebacker, and none bigger than this game right here. Brandon Morrow with a nice play at first base, and then sets his feet to start a 1-4-3 double play. That's why you practice it every day in spring training.
Both of those plays came in the 6th inning, and Brandon Morrow made that play at first for the first out of the inning. A couple of base hits followed, and then he turned the double play to end the inning. New pitcher for the Blue Jays will be the veteran Darren Oliver. A terrific season a year ago. 2.06 ERA. Right-handers hit 196 against him. And that's why John Gibbons has called to the bullpen. He wants Swisher to hit as a right-handed bat. Nick Swisher walked in the 3rd. Oliver has owned this matchup. Swisher just 1 for 11 against Darren Oliver. And they both know it.
Yeah. Manager knows it also. That's why he wanted to get his veteran in here, especially with the left-hander on deck and another switch hitter following him in Santana. Turn him around.
Well, one thing Swisher has done throughout his career is get on base. Nick Swisher, 361 career on base percentage. 3-1. Oliver misses inside. Swisher wasn't quite sure. Looked like he thought that might have been a strike. Edwin Encarnacion's bobblehead will be given away by the Toronto Star. It'll be Sunday, April 21st when the New York Yankees are in town. The first 20,000 fans will receive an Edwin Encarnacion bobblehead. For tickets and more information, call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234. Log on to BlueJays.com to order your tickets, or you can always stop by most Rogers Plus locations to get your Blue Jay tickets. Edwin Encarnacion Bobblehead Day, April 21st. Nick Swisher's aboard. Just go ahead and get a hit every time, Michael Brantley. He is 4 for 4 tonight.
Wow. 5 times now in his career he has had a 4-hit night. He didn't waste any time that time. Slash it the other way. Last time against the Red Sox he picked up a 4-hit game. This time the other way. He has hit every type of pitch tonight, and he's hit it from foul line to foul line.
His father, Mickey Brantley, is here at the ballpark. He's been here for both games, and he was a former Blue Jays coach, and you bet his buttons are popping tonight. Proud Papa in the stands. Mickey Brantley is now 19 for 30 at Rogers Center.
Time to trade for him.
Carlos Santana's had a couple of hits tonight. Brantley and Santana have 6 of the Indians' 8 hits. Leadoff walks, man, they'll kill you. Just encourages the offense. So many things you can do when you get that leadoff man aboard.
You've got a guy who can handle the bat, and you've got a guy who's hot behind him. That's what made it so tough to walk Nick Swisher. But you can get out of it. You can make a pitch here if you get the ball on the ground and get a double play. That'll go a long way to help Oliver get out of it.
On the ground is Sturris backhand, steps on the bag across the diamond, past Encarnacion, down the right field line. They're waving Brantley around. Bautista's throw to the plate, not in time. Sturris stepped on the bag to force out Swisher at third, and then made a low throw to Encarnacion at first, and the ball got by him.
He got the ground ball he needed right there. Nice play by Sturris. Uses the bag to push off of, and then the ball just doesn't come up. Hits the dirt area around first base, and it doesn't come up for Encarnacion, and that scores a run as Santana ends up at second base.
So the Indians have scored. Jose Bautista, the right fielder, was way over in the gap in right center at the start of that play. And he had such a long run to get it. By the time he threw it home, it was too late. Look at where Bautista is. He is way in the gap, and he starts to move as soon as he sees Sturris step on the bag. The ball skips past Encarnacion, and by the time Bautista picks it up, he had no chance.
Yes, that's out in no man's land right there.
Reynolds pops it up. Bonifacio calling for it, and makes the catch in shallow right. So Brantley scores all the way from first base on the air by Sturris. Santana is still at second, but now there are 2 down. Third baseman Lonnie Chisenhall has had a tough night. 3 strikeouts. He struck out twice against Morrow, and then Delabar struck him out to start the 7th. 2-1 Cleveland. Chisenhall is in the hole 0-2.
The other two pitchers, Morrow and Steve Delabar, got him with fastballs. A little bit different recipe now with Darren Oliver on the mound. Might get that breaking ball here.
Reaches for it and pokes it into the seats. Boy, the Indians have had plenty of opportunities. They still are just 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position, but they've taken a 2-1 lead on the air. And certainly that leadoff walk gave them a boost of confidence. Broken bat blooper into right. This is trouble. Bautista with a fine running catch. That ends the inning. 1 for 13 now for the Indians. Runners in scoring position. Terrific play by Bautista. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the BlackBerry Broadcast Studio. The ball game with the Indians up 2-1, and he is a terrific late inning situation guy, and he can come down and shut you down dramatically, as we saw last night. He pitched 1 inning in the 8th and retired the side in order.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. A fly ball, a ground ball, and a strikeout for Pistano. There are numbers last year at 70 games, 3-3. Note the strikeouts per 9 innings, almost 10 in his 9 innings. Doesn't walk anybody. 43 saves last year for the Cleveland Indians, which was tied for the 6th most in the American League, but Pistano was the guy who got him to that spot. He had 36 holds last year.
Meiser Esturras will try to get the Blue Jays going here in the bottom of the 8th. Esturras homered in his first at bat tonight, his first home run of the season. The only run for the Jays. Pistano faced the top 3 in the order last night when he set them down 1, 2, 3. Esturras takes a strike. Late breaking ball catches the outside corner about knee high. Another breaking ball tapped up the first baseline. That's a fair ball, and Swisher will beat Esturras to the bag. Boy, Swisher did a good job of coming after that ball. John Gibbons is going to come out and have a discussion with Kerwin Danley. And you can see that Gibbons is arguing the point that that ball was foul, and Gibbons has a perfect view of that first baseline from the dugout.
Right down the line. I think one of the arguments might be he's saying that the first base umpire called fair ball, and that's not his call. He's got to wait for that ball to get past first base until the umpire can call it first base fair or foul. Now, Kerwin Danley came out, and after Lance Barksdale called fair ball, he called it fair. Watch him as he comes out to watch, come down the line. Ball looked like it hit the chalk.
But the first base umpire signaled fair ball before the home plate umpire.
That's the home plate umpire's call, isn't it?
Bonifacio bunts through a fastball. That ball looked like it was foul.
Foul.
When Swisher grabbed it, Lance Barksdale, the first base umpire, signaled fair. And you're right, the umpire at home has that call until the ball reaches the first base bag. And that's probably exactly the point Gibbons was trying to make with Kerwin Danley. Hey, you reacted to that other guy's call.
Yeah.
That's your call. Bonifacio, 1-1 pitch inside off the plate.
Swisher did a good job of attacking that ball. He knew that that ball had a chance to go foul. Thought he did a good job of coming over and just gobbling it up before it went foul.
Tell you what, Swisher's going to be a good first baseman for them.
He's active. He's got very soft hands.
A year ago, of course, he filled in at first base for the Yankees, made 27 starts at first. 2-2 pitch to Bonifacio. Inside corner, strike three. A couple of Blue Jays have been called out tonight on that inside corner pitch. Reyes was called out by Kerwin Danley back in the sixth, and now Bonifacio gets called out.
Yeah, caught him looking for something off speed. And Pastano throws the fastball inside.
Blue Jays have struck out 7 times tonight. Top of the order, Reyes. Blue Jays are down by a run. Single in the first, and then 2 strikeouts for Reyes. He broke his bat, and we'll get some new lumber. Boy, he battled in his last at bat. That came against Jimenez in the 6th and was eventually called out. He was leading off the 6th inning. In the game at the time, it was 1-1.
Yeah, and he was zeroing in on Jimenez, fouling off all those tough pitches. Didn't like that strike 3 call on the inside fastball.
Well, Pastano is so tough against lefties because he can throw that backdoor breaking ball. And you see the Blue Jays record a year ago, 15-25 in 1-run games. The Indians, on the flip side of that, they were 24-12 in 1-run games. Testament to the strength of the back end of their bullpen. Pastano was a big part of that. Terry Francona now has another arm in Brian Shaw, who pitched here tonight as well. It's past Santana all the way back to the screen. Terry Francona has changed the culture with this Indians ball club. Of course, he comes into the situation with a lot of credibility. 2 World Series championships with the Boston Red Sox, 04 and 07. Fly ball to center, but Michael Bourne backpedaling. Plenty of room, and Reyes is retired, and the Blue Jays are down an order in the 8th. The bullpen continues to dominate the Blue Jays in this series. We'll go to the 9th. Former Indians Ishmael Rogers into the ball game. CRV and IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
The award tonight, the drive of the game, is going to go to Meister Sturis. He only hit 2 round trippers last year. This is number 1 as he turns on that inside fastball from Ubaldo Jimenez, tying up the ball game in the 3rd inning. Meister Sturis with a long one.
New pitcher for the Blue Jays. He'll be the 4th pitcher of the night. Will be Ishmael Rogers. You see his numbers a year ago with the Rockies and the Indians. He appeared in 67 ball games. Pitched very well for Cleveland last year once he joined the ball club. Rogers is 27 years old. He has nearly 3 years of big league service. Signed as a free agent, undrafted free agent in July of 2003 with the Colorado Rockies.
Speed pitch right there from Ishmael Rogers. Drew Stubbs got a laugh out of it. Blue Jays got him from the Indians for Mike Aviles and Yan Gomes.
Breaking ball popped into center field. First out of the top half of the ninth.
Anytime you get traded to another team and you're going to face them for the first time, you want to prove that they made a mistake. I'm sure that's what's going through Ishmael Rogers' mind right now.
Back to the top of the order. Michael Bourne's been on base twice tonight. Good fastball from Rogers. One thing the Blue Jays were very weak in was power arms in the bullpen. Last year, they just didn't have the guys that could come out of the bullpen and blow that gas to give you some strikeouts late in the game.
Especially in middle relief. I think they could have used some more power out of their bullpen to get to Sergio Santos, who was the closer at the beginning of the season, and then Casey Jansen at the end.
Santos had an appearance last night, gave up a double, but then struck out 2 to end the inning. Bourne on the ground. Bonifacio has it. 2 down. Fandom, a reminder, there's no better place to watch all the action this season than your very own reserved seat right here at Rogers Center. Season tickets are on sale. Great seats are still available. You can call the Blue Jays. Use your cellular phone and make that call. 416-341-1234. Or log on to BlueJays.com to order your 2013 Blue Jays season tickets. Asdrubal Cabrera has gone 0 for 3. He lined out in the 5th inning. He's also flied out and popped up. One and 2.
Asdrubal Cabrera asked him about that quick pitch again. Rogers will do that every now and then. Nobody on. There it is.
This ball is lined into center. Rasmus with a nice diving catch, gloves it for the 3rd out of the inning. The Blue Jays have played terrific defense tonight. Bautista with a running catch in right. Rasmus closes out the top half of the ninth. Cabrera of a hit to close out the top half of the ninth.
You can see him playing straight away and then making a nice route to that ball. Clipped it right off the turf. And snow cones it for the final out. Those type of plays have a way of getting the place fired up here. For the bottom of the ninth, you're going to need it against Chris Perez.
Perez worked in last night's game, picked up his 100th career save as an Indian. Melky Cabrera. It'll be 2, 3, and 4. Blue Jays got the right guys at the plate in the ninth.
Get that first guy on right here. So the power and Bautista and Encarnacion have a chance to drive him in.
Melky Cabrera. Boy, he's patient. What a different makeup of this lineup this year. Veteran hitters, they understand what their jobs are. Get on base for Bautista. John Gibbons loves Cabrera in the 2 spot. 3-0.
Not afraid to take a pitch. He was taken all away, just decoying the pitcher there by squaring around.
There's a strike. Might even take another one.
If you're confident in yourself that you're going to get a fastball 3-2, why not?
Right on the corner. Full count.
Fastball that darting away, framed nicely by Santana.
Chris Perez comes all the way back and strikes out Melky Cabrera.
Right fielder number 19, Jose Bautista.
So Jose Bautista can tie it up with one swing of the bat. Perez crosses him up and throws a first pitch breaking ball.
I think Jose was thinking just that. Guess fastball. Try and tie it up with one swing, but Perez dropped the deuce on him.
Swing and a drive, and it is out of here. Jose Bautista has tied it up in the ninth.
You know, it just takes one swing to get everybody fired up. Looked like Perez wanted that fastball away to Bautista, and it rode him to the inside part of the plate. Santana sets up outside, it comes inside, and Jose knows he got it.
This guy can do it too. What a swing by Bautista. First of many. His second career home run against Chris Perez. He's now 5 for 12. He said, fastball, man, fastball.
Early in the count, all last year, Edwin Encarnacion in these situations tried to go large. And then when he got the 2 strikes, he cut it down, shortened his swing, became a different hitter.
Edwin Encarnacion a year ago hit 42 home runs, 21 of them with 2 strikes. Way outside. Bautista got everybody on their feet. inside.
Does he challenge him here 3-2? Or does he throw him a breaking ball?
I think he'll go with a breaking ball. 3-2, 1 out. Way outside, he walked him. He didn't want to come with that heater. You want to see a pretty swing? Check this out.
Right now, look where his head is, right on that ball. An extension through the baseball. That's gorgeous.
And that's when you know you've hit it out. Stand and admire. Not much time to watch that one. It got out of here in a hurry. So the winning run is at first. Adam Lind at the plate. Pops up the first pitch. Shallow center. Shortstop Cabrera calls for it and makes the grab. Career home runs against Cleveland. We highlighted Bautista's numbers against the Indians at the start of the game, and he didn't let us down. 2 outs. J.P. Arencibia has the pop to win it.
Yep. Outfield is deep. They're going to try and cut off any ball in the gap. I'll take that shot Arencibia hit yesterday under right center field. He did that against Chris Perez in the 9th. Went right with a slider and split the gap in right center.
The outfield has backed up. Encarnacion is not the swiftest of Blue Jays, but he's an exceptional base runner.
Knows who to challenge in the outfield, reads the ball off the bat very well, takes the extra base when he needs to.
Fly ball into center. Bourne backed up initially, and now he's got a bead on it, and we'll go to extra innings. Jose Bautista, 27 home runs a year ago. Number 1 ties it off Chris Perez, his 9th career home run against Cleveland. 2-2. Jose Bautista has done it again. One swing of the bat, and he tied it up. A one-out home run in the bottom of the ninth, and the Blue Jays will turn things over to Casey Jansen. Terrific season a year ago. 22 saves, and Jansen into the ball game in this scoreless game in the 10th. Excuse me, 2-2 game in the 10th. All tied up.
Bring your closer in at home in a tie game. You're looking for one inning, shutdown inning, and then try and win it in the bottom.
Casey Jansen. We saw Casey pitch. He only had 2 spring training official appearances in regular Grapefruit League action, but he pitched a lot in the minor league games. His command has been as good as it was last year. His velocity might be off a mile or two.
The arm strength might not be there because of the lack of work in spring training, but you're right. We had a chance to watch him warm up in the bullpen at the minor league game and stand behind home plate, and he was dialing it in. Fastball in the outside corner. He'll cut that outside corner to lefties also. Move the ball around the strike zone.
Number 3 hitter Jason Kipnis has drawn an 0 for tonight. He's 0 for 4. Defensive hack. He fouls it off. Here's the 2-2. Great breaking ball. That curveball right on the outside corner does the trick. It gets Kipnis.
He went fastball away, cutter away, and then you change the hitter, what he looks at, the timing of that hitter by dropping that little curveball on him. And you can see how far out in front Kipnis' swing is before that ball gets there, and that's the magic. Casey Jansen.
Indians have struck out 10 times tonight. Nick Swisher has done his thing. He's been on base twice with a pair of walks. He's 0 for 2 officially. Goes after the first pitch and singles into right. 9 hits now for Cleveland.
Half of them by the guy coming up. Cutter on the inside part of the plate. Nick Swisher pulls his hands in. He's able to barrel up that pitch.
Michael Brantley has tied his career high with 4 hits. He's a perfect 4 for 4. Four singles. Brantley drove in the first run of the ball game in the 3rd. Jansen misses the outside corner. Goes right back this time, finds the corner.
Look where that pitch is on pitch tracks. It's right on the edge. Tough to get good wood on a pitch like that. You see where that number 2 is in the strike zone.
Swisher takes his lead at first. Off-speed pitch misses way outside. Well, the reason you work down and away to a lefty hitter in this situation, if Brantley hits it out the other way, you just tip your cap. But you don't want to give him anything he can pull to the right side with Encarnacion holding Swisher on. You've opened up a big hole on the right side of the infield.
Outfield playing a little bit deeper. They don't want any doubles. Problem with that is if you pitch him away, he has shown that he can hit the ball the other way. Stays back on it. 2 of his hits tonight have come to left field.
Last time up, he had a line drive to left back in the 3rd when he picked up the RBI. Hit a bouncing ball through the 5-6 hole. Santana's on deck. He's had a couple of hits tonight. Brantley and Santana have 6 of the 9 hits. There's a ground ball. Encarnacion, a good scoop. Throw to second for 1. Back to first. Not in time. Boy, the Blue Jays have played great defense tonight. Encarnacion did a terrific job of coming after that short hopper and made a strong throw to Reyes, who in turn made a strong relay to first.
Yep. Come in there, get rid of it quickly. No time to get back, so the former infielder at UCLA, that's Casey Janssen, is going to come over and try and record the out. But Brantley just runs too well. We have seen great plays in the outfield, one by Rasmus, one by Bautista, Encarnacion, Brandon Morrow. It's been a good defensive night for the Jays.
Carlos Santana, mentioned his 2 hits. He's 2 for 4. First pitch strike. Casey Janssen does such a great job of staying ahead, pitching ahead. He recognizes he's not a guy that can power the ball past you, so he has to pitch from an advantage, and that's throwing strike 1.
He's always been good at throwing the ball, especially his fastball, commanding it to the inside and to the outside.
The appeal down to Jeff Nelson at third. He says no swing. You could hear Jansen say yes, check.
Yeah, right away. It looked like a cutter on the inside part of the plate. They had a check swing by Santana. They said no.
Hot shot, gloved by Reyes. He'll have to go to first, and he does. Brantley was going to beat Bonifacio to the bag at second. Reyes used that good arm to go bottom of the 10th. 2-2 ball game. And played great defense all night long. Brandon Morrow's made 2 exceptional plays. Bautista and Rasmus with fine diving, running catches in the outfield, and Reyes ended the last half inning with a great play at short. Left-hander Rich Hill, the only lefty in the Indians bullpen, comes on.
With Boston last year, he got into 25 games, and command was an issue with him earlier in his career, but not anymore. Left-handers hit just .205 against Hill last season. He also threw just 19 2/3 innings, had 21 strikeouts. in his time on the mound. Fastball, a little bit of a curveball, slider. Got good command.
Santana out with a couple of words for his new pitcher. Well, the Blue Jays tonight got through a tough part of the bullpen. Vinny Pistano worked the 8th inning and he retired to side in order. Chris Perez gave up a 1-out home run. And the Blue Jays are in extra innings now. Rasmus takes the first pitch off the plate inside. Facing Rich Hook. Colby 0 for 3 tonight, but we mentioned a terrific sliding catch to end the 9th inning. The defense has been huge for the Jays tonight. They've managed just 2 runs on 5 hits, but they're in the ball game in the 10th.
Bautista saved the run with his catch late in the game. Now you got to keyhole him right here.
Hopped up down the right side. That's a fair ball. Stubbs gets there. That's the first out of the inning. Dr. Hannibal Lecter is back in a new psychological thriller. It all starts April 4th on City. Let the mind games begin. Meiser Astouris was the scheduled batter. Mark DeRosa getting loose in the on-deck circle. He'll come on to pinch hit for Astouris. Meiser had a good night. He was 1 for 3. The solo home run in 3rd. DeRosa is going to start tomorrow's game against the right-hander Brett Myers, and then he will start on Friday's game as Boston will start a left-handed starter to open up that series. So DeRosa with his first at bat of the season. Mark DeRosa, one of the extra men added to this club to provide some experience. He's 38 years old. Played over 12 years in the majors. Started out with the Atlanta Braves.
He'll give you professional at bats. Watched him all spring training long. Had a great spring. You can just see those are big league at bats right there. The way he's taking those pitches. Big situations. There are his numbers. 442 this spring with a couple of long ones.
Breaking ball. Rich Hill flips that breaking ball in for a strike. It's 2-2. Breaking ball just off the inside corner. Full count. Rich Hill started his career with the Chicago Cubs. He came up for a cup of coffee in 2005. Made 16 starts for Chicago in 2006. Outside, Hill walked him with a breaking ball. 1 out, bottom of the 9th. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Connected. Here's Ken Reed and Ivanka Osback. Number 9 hitter Emilio Bonifacio struck out twice and grounded out. He's 0 for 3. A 1-out walk to Mark DeRosa, the pinch hitter. Inside. We are in the bottom of the 10th. Blue Jays tied it up in the bottom of the 9th. A 1-out solo home run by Jose Bautista, his first of the season. Came off Chris Perez, the Indians' closer. Bonifacio tried to check his swing and couldn't hold up.
Rich Hill is really funky, isn't he? Comes from that crossfire angle and really falls off the mound. You hear coaches all the time, hey, when you let go of the ball as a pitcher, be in position to catch it. He's almost over at first base when it's crossing the plate.
Big swing and a miss. Rich Hill has come back from Tommy John surgery early on, and he was a starter, as we mentioned. Now he has turned into a relief pitcher, and we mentioned only one lefty out of the Indians bullpen.
He was a big prospect for the Chicago Cubs not so long ago.
32 starts for Chicago in 2007, was 11-8 for the season. And a 392.
A lot of strikeouts too when he was with the Cubs.
183 strikeouts that season and 195 innings.
And if you're left-handed, you throw strikes and you've got a good breaking ball, you can pitch forever. And he's got all of that. He's got a good breaking ball.
1-2. There's that breaking ball. Bonifacio gets a piece of it. Two-two ball game. Both clubs scored a single run in the third. Indians took the lead in the eighth. We have talked about the balance of this lineup. 1 through 9. They can strike at any point. Bonifacio strikes out. That big breaking ball just kept tracking inside. He strikes out for the third time tonight.
That's nasty. Watch where it comes from and where it ends up. From the outside part of the plate all the way to your shoe top. Bonifacio comes up empty on that breaking ball.
Terry Francona with a slow walk to the mound. Rich Hill does a good job. Gets 2 outs here in the bottom of the 10th. Matt Albers, former Oriole, comes into the ball game. Well, of a ball game tonight between the Indians and the Blue Jays. It's a 2-2 game with 2 outs in the bottom of the 10th. Matt Albers, his numbers a year ago, split time between the Red Sox and the Diamondbacks, appeared in 63 ball games. He's also pitched with the Orioles, spent parts of 3 seasons in Baltimore, originally signed with the Houston Astros. Jose Reyes looks at one down and in. Reyes singled in his first at bat. And a sharp single to right. Bouncing ball to the right side. Reyes is going to be out by a half a step. Good job by Matt Albers as he got off the mound. And another good play by Nick Swisher. The first baseman's had a good night defensively. Reyes with terrific speed chops the ball toward first. Matt Albers steps on the bag just ahead of Reyes. And this ball game is in extra innings, but coming up next, connected on Sportsnet East and Sportsnet Ontario. NHL action on Sportsnet West, the Edmonton Oilers at Calgary. Regional restrictions apply to that ball game. And more baseball. The Seattle Mariners and Oakland A's will tee it up. They'll be on Sportsnet Pacific. That's Joe Saunders, the left-hander for Seattle, against Tommy Malone for the Oakland A's. New pitcher for the Blue Jays will be the fifth reliever of the night, Sergio Santos, who worked 2/3 of an inning in last night's game.
Yeah, and Sergio was good last night. Those 2/3, both strikeouts. The first two batters that he is scheduled to face here in the 11th inning. Good fastball last night. We haven't seen that all spring. He was touching 96 last night.
Bottom third of the order for Cleveland. Santos struck out Mark Reynolds last night in the 8th inning after giving up a double on the first pitch he threw when he entered the game in relief. Boy, that's a wipeout slider. That ball is hard, late breaking with a lot of depth to it.
Yeah, it looks like a fastball coming out of his hand about halfway to home plate, and then it just falls right out of the strike zone. And for a free swinger, that is a tough pitch to lay off of.
Got that breaking ball up that time. Mark DeRosa entered the ballgame as a pinch hitter for Meiser Astouris. He takes over defensively at third base. We mentioned he will be the starter at third tomorrow night against Brett Myers, the third and final game of the season opening series. Another 0-2 pitch way outside. Well, it's interesting to keep an eye on Santos tonight. Back-to-back appearances coming off shoulder surgery last year. It's always a concern for a manager just to see what kind of velocity you're going to get.
That was one of his goals before he left Dunedin spring training, that he could go back-to-back days. He did it. He was fine.
high, deep drive, and Mark Reynolds has just untied the ball game. A high fastball, and he went upstairs and got it. He hit 23 home runs a year ago. And that high fastball, he jumped right on top of it.
He'll swing through a lot of those high fastballs, but he's got that uppercut home run natural type of swing that when he connects, it's going to go a long, long way. 23 last year, his first with the Indians. Watch how he goes it and stays on. That's about shoulder high. And it's a long way when it came down in left center field.
High fly ball, Bautista calling for it in deep right center. Gets there and makes the grab. Mark Reynolds, we mentioned, a career high 44 home runs for Arizona. And watch where this pitch is. About shoulder high, and he stays up there with it and knocks it out of the yard.
That is a tough pitch to stay up on top. You just have to go through that ball. Can't cut it off. Can't cut that swing off when you're trying to hit that high fastball.
Drew Stubbs. First pitch slider. He swings over the top of it. Boy, the Indians are well aware of what you get with Mark Reynolds. He struck out twice again tonight. Had a strikeout last night, but that's what he can do, and he'll bring a smile to the manager's face.
Seems like he did that a lot last year when he was with Baltimore against the Blue Jays.
Now, last year he had an exceptional year against the East, and he hit 7 home runs against the Yankees. He had 3 two-home run games against New York.
Well, they wanted to add some power. The Indians signed him as a free agent.
Ball and a strike. 94 with the fastball, but down and away. I mentioned the Indians were near the bottom in the American League in home runs a year ago. They had 136 home runs. That was 12th in the American League. They've since added Swisher and Reynolds. Swisher's had 8 consecutive seasons of 20 or more home runs, and Reynolds has 5 straight. The Blue Jays are down by a run. The scheduled batters in the bottom half of the 11th, the same hitters that came to the plate in the bottom of the 9th. Cabrera, Bautista, Encarnacion. Jose Bautista hit a 1-out home run to send it into extra innings. Full count pitch to Drew Stubbs. Strike 3 called. Came with the slider, and Stubbs is down on strikes.
Surprise Stubbs. He was looking for the fastball. Figure he'd challenge him, and he locks him up with that good breaking ball. A couple of strikeouts last night, another one here tonight.
Leadoff hitter Michael Bourne right back to Santos. He gloves it, and the inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the 11th. Blue Jays have some work to do. Mark Reynolds with the solo home run. It'll be Melky Cabrera to start things off. Jose Bautista, then Edwin Encarnacion. Once again, Jose Bautista has made some fans happy here tonight. Has one out home run in the ninth. Pushed it to extra innings. Joe Smith worked in last night's game. He retired the side in order in the seventh, but that was 7, 8, 9 in the Blue Jays order. He's got a different menu to work with tonight.
Yeah, right through the middle of the Blue Jay lineup. Again, he led the Indians in appearances last year. He's 2 for 2 this year already. From down under, sinker slider.
Melky Cabrera looks at a wide one, breaking ball to start the at-bat. Cabrera hit 11 home runs last year for the San Francisco Giants. Bautista waits on deck. Well, the Indians right-handers do a good job of using that breaking ball to lefties. They start it off the plate and drop it over the outside corner.
They don't come inside unless it's a mistake. They stay away from all that lefty power with that breaking ball.
Right fielder, number 19, Jose Bautista.
Bautista batting with one out in the ninth, hit a solo home run off Chris Perez to tie the game at 2-all. Santana crosses him up and has Smith throw the first pitch fastball. Quickly 0-2.
You know, against a pitcher like Joe Smith, he can make the ball come in on right-handers and go away. I think you got to pick one pitch. You got to look for the slider if that's the one you feel more comfortable with. Can't guess with him.
Right back to the mound. Smith knocks it down, retrieves it, and throws quickly to Swisher for the out. Well, we've seen some good defense by the pitchers here tonight. Smith does a good job. Knocks this ball down, but you can see where Kipnis was behind him. He was straight up the middle.
They have played the right-handers, not three guys on one side of the infield. They've had the left side pull over and the second baseman right behind the pitcher against all the right-handed power hitters against the Blue Jays.
Joe Smith looking for his first big league save. Starts Encarnacion off with a breaking ball. The appeal to Lance Barksdale is denied. No swing on the pitch. Popped out of play. The Jays are down to the last strike.
That breaking ball is a sweeping breaking ball. You got to really track it. Starts on the inside part of the plate to a right-hander and cuts all the way over to the other side of the plate. Doesn't have the downward movement like you'd like from a slider. Just swoops.
Coming inside, flirting with danger. We mentioned Encarnacion, 21 home runs last year, came with 2 strikes. Way off the plate inside.
We showed him a couple of breaking balls now. I bet you he goes to that breaking ball again.
Bouncing ball, Chisenhall, Swisher, ball game. Mark Reynolds, a solo home run, the difference in the game. He led off the 11th and hit the home run. Michael Brantley, another big night at Rogers Center. 4 for 5 for Brantley, and the Indians have taken the first 2 ball games in this series. Stay tuned for Connected on Easton, Ontario. West has NHL action. Regional restrictions apply. Or for more baseball, the Pacific has Mariners and A's. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.